So the daily White House coronavirus press briefings have really been the stuff of horrors in a number of ways. We see lies, endless lies from Trump. We see delusions from his task force. We see the bullying of the doctors on the task force into having to be really careful and sort of walk on eggshells and be very careful in how they couch what happened and what needs to happen for fear of angering Donald Trump. We see Trump never answering the questions of reporters. We're really seeing it all. But yesterday was a true authoritarian nightmare, with Donald Trump furiously yelling at the room, calling most of the reporters in the room fakes, which we'll get to. And there is so much here, but it is all founded in Donald Trump's incipient narcissistic authoritarianism. And I'm not going to go in chronological order here, but I'm going to go sort of in levels of authoritarian. The fight is now developing over whose authority is it to reopen the country, which is really about reopening individual states. Not every state closed at the same time, not every state fully closed. And these were decisions made by governors of different levels of common sense and rationality. Donald Trump is claiming more and more that it is his absolute authority to open up the country. Now, funny, number one, that he says this because he never closed the country. He, much later than many states had already done it, gave guidelines to states that they should follow. But more importantly, it's not funny at all. It's actually scary because Donald Trump has become downright dictatorial. And that's the right word in his pronouncements, that it is up to him and him alone. And if a governor doesn't want to open up a state, Trump has the sole authority, absolute sole authority as president, to force them to do it. Here is Trump escalating in his authoritarianism and delusions of dictatorship.
What you're trying
No, not at all. Let me just tell you, very simple. I'm going to put it very simply. The President of the United States has the authority to do what the President has the authority to do, which is very powerful. The President of the United States calls the shots. If we weren't here for the states, you would have had a problem in this country like you've never seen before. We were here to back them up. And we've more than backed them up. We did a job that nobody ever thought was possible. It's a decision for the President of the United States. Now, with that being said, we're going to work with the states because it's very important. You have local governments. They're pinpointed. It's really, you talk about, it's like a microchip. They're pinpointed. We have local government that hopefully will do a good job. And if they don't do a good job, I'd step in so fast. But no, they can't do anything without the approval of the President of the United States. Go ahead, please.
This runs directly counter to the Constitution, the law, states' rights, all of the things that the people supposedly on Trump's side have been fighting for hundreds of years. I mean, certainly decades in the modern era of republicanism. Here's another specific question from a reporter. And Trump is just not backing down. He wants to be the authoritarian, but he also wants to avoid any responsibility when things go wrong. Nothing is his responsibility, but everything is his sole absolute authority, more and more sounding like Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un and the like. Take a look at this.
Clarify your understanding of your authority vis-a-vis governors. Just to be very specific. For instance, if a governor issued a stay-at-home order...
When you say my authority, the president's authority, not mine, because it's not me. This is when somebody's the president of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be.
Total. Your authority is total.
It's total. It's total. And the governors know that.
So if
the governors know that. Now you have a couple of bands of excuse me. You have a couple...
Could you rescind that order?
You have a couple of bands of Democrat governors, but they will agree to it. They will agree to it. But the authority of the President of the United States having to do with the subject we're talking about is total.
And then check out CNN's Caitlin Collins here pressing him about, has any governor said they agree that this is your call? Take a look at what Trump says.
Question about something you just said. You said when someone is president of the United States, their authority is total. That is not true.
Okay, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to write up papers on this. It's not going to be necessary because the governors need us one way or the other, because ultimately it comes with the federal government. That being said, we're getting along very well with the governors, and I feel very certain that there won't be a problem. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Has any governor agreed that you have the authority to decide when their state
I haven't
opens
asked
back up?
anybody because I don't. You know why? Because I don't have to. Go ahead, please.
But who told you the president has the total authority?
Enough. please.
He clearly had enough of Caitlin Collins. And these are good questions. Does any governor agree with you on this idea? Who gave you the idea that it is your absolute authority? So this is the way it works in a dictatorship. It's not supposed to work this way in the United States. Now, I can assure you, if Trump says let it rip on May 1st, or even let it rip on May 15th, many governors are not going to say let it rip. California's Gavin Newsom is not going to say everybody get back out there, sports, the entire thing. Trump can't force Boston restaurants to open. In fact, I don't even know that our governor can force Boston restaurants to open. How do you force a private business to open, right? Trump can't force kids in San Francisco to go back to school. It's patently absurd. But the really scary part is the authoritarian nature with which Trump claims he can control every governor and every state and every business. It's not even clear governors have some of the powers Donald Trump is claiming he has. And states that are already sort of following what Donald Trump is suggesting he's going to do have already said, we're not listening to Trump. We're listening to our health experts. We're listening to doctors, not the president. Now, this wasn't all. Donald Trump also turned the White House coronavirus press briefing into a campaign propaganda event. Trump actually stepped aside at one point and played on televisions video of governors saying nice things about him to, I guess, prove what a great job he's been doing. This is just a few seconds of it. I won't play it all.
Mercy ship down here in Los Angeles, that was directly because he sent it down here. 2,000 medical units came to the state of California, these FMS, these field medical stations, and that's been very, very helpful.
The president has been outstanding through all this. The vice president's been outstanding. Members of the coronavirus task force, very responsive.
We had asked if we could have, New Jersey could have access to a piece of the beds that are on the USNS Comfort, and the president came back, called me a short few minutes before I walked in here to say indeed they would grant that to New Jersey. So that's a big step for us in addition to all the other capacity.
This was essentially a campaign video, and reporters realized this might, in a way, violate campaign finance rules, asking Donald Trump, was that video produced here at the White House by administration staff?
It was done in-house, Steve.
But just to be clear, this was produced by government employees, by people here at the White House, this campaign style
I wouldn't use the
here.
word produced. All they did was took some clips and they just ran them for you.
And then lastly, the briefing started with Anthony Fauci having to get up there, holding his hat proverbially and saying, despite all of the reports that I said Trump could have saved lives by closing and acting earlier, everything was done when I asked, everything is fine. Fauci was then asked, did Donald Trump tell you to say this? And here's how Fauci reacted.
Are you doing this voluntarily, or did
No,
the president?
I'm doing it. Everything I do is voluntarily. Please, don't even imply that.
Now, to me, it seems like a very reasonable question to Anthony Fauci. And voluntary can simply mean Trump lost his you-know-what behind the scenes, and Fauci volunteered to make a statement. In strict terms, Trump might not have told Fauci, you've got to make a statement today, but Trump can still flip out and make it clear Fauci needs to do something. It struck me as one of those hostage proof of life type videos. They're treating me well and I'm being fed. Really the stuff of nightmares. And now I want to dig into one of the specific elements of that propaganda video that Donald Trump played. Today's program was made possible in part by BetterHelp.com/Pakman. BetterHelp is an online service that gives you access to your own experienced, fully licensed therapist via phone, video, and text. When you see a therapist in person in their office, it can take 3 weeks on average before you're able to get in for your first appointment. But with BetterHelp, you're matched with a therapist who fits your needs within just 24 hours, and you get the same professional service. And the best part is that BetterHelp is less expensive than seeing a therapist in person as well. Plus, you will have totally unlimited access to the therapist. You can talk to them whenever you want on your phone or computer. And because BetterHelp believes in what they do, they also have a full money-back guarantee. If you're not happy with the service, you'll get a full refund, no questions asked. All of their therapists go through an extensive vetting process and are required to have at least 3 years of experience before joining BetterHelp. So you know you're getting someone who's fully qualified to help you. But if you don't think that your therapist is a good fit, BetterHelp lets you switch to someone new at any time. If you've been thinking about getting involved with therapy, you should really check out BetterHelp. Just click the link underneath this video.